Well, the loggers are out of here, and Kevin used my 220 to load out the last load of logs yesterday. Still got like 3 leftover ones that are gonna end up in the fire pile. But we have a lot of mess here to clean up, so we're going to go to the back first thing this morning and finish grading that section and filling in the borrow pit. Then we'll probably put the rake on the Komatsu dozer, kind of run over all that area right there, and I'll come up here and start cleaning this stuff up. Stacking the brush up, we're going to do another burn pile right there. I'd already kind of stumped that area and had them pile the brush on top of it, so have to move that pile because it is sitting on top of stumps. But we'll come in here and rake all this mess out right here, and then have some room to sort through that. There's a few stumps in here, not too many, but get all this kind of cleaned up and work everything into that pile right there, and then do that house lot area over there. So I was able to get that hole filled in back there. Robert's going to finish grading that off and pushing the last bit over there into that low area. I'm going to jump on the 220 now and start raking through the old logging deck and cleaning this mess up right here. Grab some of that brush, probably move that. There is a pile of dirt that I had pushed off with the dozer. Rake that back out. We'll just kind of go through there and start sorting through that mess, exposing stumps so we can dig all that up. I like to get some of those dug up today so that if it does rain this weekend, I might be able to come over here and start burning some. Let's get some of this stuff picked through here and cleaned up, stacked into the burn pile. Should definitely have plenty of stuff to get the fire going. Just pile all this up right there. I'm probably just going to kind of keep working the pile out this way. That way it doesn't interfere with the lot over there, and we can do some grading and kind of get that situated. For some reason there's a holdup in the burning process, which, looking at the forecast, I don't think there's going to be a holdup in the burning process because it's looking wet. It's just dandy. We have got to get done here. This job is kind of definitely drug out due to weather. Not being able to move logs. Stump. Another stump. Right here at the logging deck, you always end up with all this crap, which is everything they drug up. Just ends up with all the sticks and pine straw, dirt. You gotta sit here and kind of pick through it, get it fluffed up so that it'll burn there. Just normally kind of put it right there in the bottom, let it'll smolder through as the pile burns. Luckily their stuff right here isn't too bad because they didn't drive the skidder over top of this. This is kind of where all the treetops are piled up. Man, when they have it all right here and the skidder drives over it, just keeps dragging dirt over it, gets all packed in there, and then it rains on it. Oh my gosh. You're talking about a mess. I've gotten to jobs before where that was like 2 or 3 feet thick. You just can't do nothing with it. Which this is about 18 inches thick, so not too much different. A lot of stuff to pick through. That's gonna smolder for a while. There's ain't nothing you can do about it. Alright, I'm gonna sit here and kind of keep raking through this and get a pile of all this. And we'll go around to the other side of the brush pile and start picking up some more sticks and stuff. Kind of getting that raked so we can start stumping. Grab these 3 big logs real quick. Go ahead and put them on top of the pile. There's a lot more in here than I thought of this stuff. That would burn right now. We'll see how well it burns when it gets rained on. It's going to be the only downside to that. Stuff might end up in a hole somewhere. We'll let it to go through the fire first and see what burns. So I got a good sized burn pile pushed up there now with the, or I guess stacked up there with the excavator. Robert's got majority of all this graded through with the dozer here. I'm gonna touch up a few spots. I gotta go down here and finish the back side of the pond dam. And he wanted me to go over here and touch up the borrow pit as well. So I'm gonna go do that real quick. And then we'll probably dig up some stumps. Exciting. Run over the back slope of this pond dam real quick, kind of get it on grade and track it in as well before we get any rain. I still have to put the overflow pipe in, but at least I'll only have to tear up one little section right there for that, and then all this will go ahead and be stabilized. Definitely a pretty tall pond dam for the size. Just had a lot of slope. Kind of relates to kind of the ponds that Mike does. They just have so much hills up there. You have to move so much dirt to build a pond dam. You end up with huge amounts of dirt for a little pond. Touch that little swale coming up down beside the trees and make sure all that funneling into the pond. It's going to take me about 30 minutes probably to track this slope in, so it'll be a little bit. Pond dams, it probably just goes a little wild on the backside, as it's going to be very hard to maintain this one unless you weed whack. But this was what we got with the budget I had to work with. Start tracking the slope in and get that done. one little pond completed. Still got to put the overflow in, like I said, but we'll do that next week. Got the slope tracked in back there. I'll just probably run that overflow down over there somewhere when we get the pipe. And Robert graded over that. I ran over that section right there, got all that ready, and cut a little bit of a swell right here so that this should flow down into the pond off of this hillside. Probably make one more pass right here just to raise that up a little bit more, just to make sure it all flows down in there. But turned out to be a nice little pond here. He's going to come over here this weekend and disc it up and start planting everything. Let's go over there and start digging up stumps now. And here's the view from over here, looking back up. So I'll put the overflow right there and cut the spillway in over there. I just don't think it'll ever get that much water that it'll ever have to go through the spillway. But I do have everything from that big oak tree to that tree up there running in here, and that goes up there a lot farther up the hill than I thought it did. So there's a fair amount of runoff that does come in here, but it'll only be when it rains. And back from lunch, got the rake on the Komatsu dozer, and I put the stumper back on the 350. I'm gonna go ahead and run through here and pop these stumps out, and then Robert got about half of that cleaned up over there, and we'll go ahead and stump that, and then we'll see what the weather's doing. We got a little bit of rain coming a little bit later, so get done what we can. He'll kind of rake through it after I get it stumped and fill all the stump holes back in. Let's get some stumps dug up. Robert can come through here and rake everything once I get these dug up. That was a hickory tree, I think. May save that one for the pond down there. We'll put a few stumps down there in the pond. Kind of help with the fish habitat down there. Need a good oak stump or something like that, because the other ones will float. They don't like the ones over here where all the dirt comes off of them. They'll end up floating up. So you need like a gum tree stump or an oak or some sort of better hardwood. I think this will be a good stump here once I get it dug out. That's a good one. Bad boy's in the ground. Out of the ground. It wants to. I think. Yep. Gum tree. we dig up. Put up a fight today. Breaking through all this, we'll get around over there to where the house lot is and start getting that area stumped. We're over here on the house lot now, digging up stumps. Robert's kind of coming behind me there and piling up the stumps, kind of knocking the dirt off of them. He can grab them and throw them around, and looks like now he's going to go over there and clean up some brush. That way I have some more stumps to dig up. Definitely goes a lot faster when all the brush is raked up, or majority of the brush is raked up, and all I have to do is just pop the stumps up and put them in a row. Popping out of the ground. struggle than some of these other ones. Place is shaping up, looking good. Got the logging deck cleaned up. I got about half of that stumped. Robert's stacking up the brush. I'm gonna jump on the D6 here real quick before we have to leave and push all those stumps up into a pile that I dug up. I'm just gonna try to blade over everything that's disturbed.
it a day on that note. We've got everything graded back there in the back, and probably at least half, maybe 2/3, probably half, it goes back that way pretty good, of the house lot area stumped, and just finished raking over it. Got all the stumps piled up. See what the rain does. I may come over here tomorrow and set that pile on fire, start getting all these stumps burned up. I got me another pile of brush, so once I dig all those stumps up, might be able to go ahead and burn all that as well. So just see what the weather does. And like I say, if it does rain, I may come over here and burn that, at least get all these stumps on the fire burning down and dig up the rest of those. So it's been a busy week over here. But good morning everybody, back over here. Just me this morning. I think I'm going to work a half a day. I think I'm going to set that brush pile on fire right there and start letting it burn down a little bit. Did get a little bit of rain last night and it's not super wet, but all the woods are pretty damp, so at least try to get that one burning, get some stuff burnt down in that, throw some stumps on there, and then at least that pile will be getting smaller, and start working on digging some more stumps up over there, and then next week finish getting all that stuff rounded up and put into the fire. Well, I was able to get the fire started, so that's going to start burning down. I'm going to grab some of these stumps, start throwing it in there, since majority of this is nothing but tree tops. It's going to take a lot of brush to burn all these stumps, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some of those in there so they can start drying out and burning some. Well, the pile is burning down well. I've got pretty much all the stumps piled on there now, so I'm gonna let this keep burning down, and I'm gonna go jump on the 350 for a few minutes and pop up a few stumps. Give this about an hour to burn down. I'm gonna restack it one more time and probably head out. So I took 350 and made a couple passes through there, got a lot more stumps dug up. I'm gonna go ahead and grab them with the excavator and get them in the pile. As you can tell, it's burnt down a lot and I need to get all these cooking or I'm gonna run out of brush before all my stumps are burnt up. That would not be good. I'm gonna restack the pile here one more good time. This stuff kind of rounded up along the edges and piled up on here, and then there's a bunch of stumps I dug up. I'll grab them and put on top of everything. I'll hold it down and they'll sit there and dry out over the weekend. Come back next week. We're supposed to have some more rain. Kind of stir everything around and that'll get back going. Pile the rest of that brush over here on there. Dig up the rest of those stumps. Burn everything up. This stuff right here was pushed up with the skidder, so it's got a little bit extra dirt in it. Smoking pretty good too. Stumps over here that have kind of already dried out a little bit. Get them laid up on the pile. Grab this little brush right here, so scratchy anything up. A lot of stumps. That's why I was trying to pile them all in here so they could get to burning. Mix some brush and stumps together. It normally burns pretty good. like so. Alright, well, I'm going to keep rounding this up, go over here and get some more stumps transferred up here and go ahead and throw those on the pile. That way they can get some heat in them over the weekend and dry out. We'll do it again next week. All right, well, that's burning down. I got all the stumps on there and they're getting all nice and toasty and drying out. And pretty much all that's left to do is stump that little bit right there. So we got some things we gotta go do this afternoon, but at least got a head start on next week for burning.